All right, hello and welcome into another edition of the Great Eight Rankings. Week 10 of the high school football season is here, Madeline. Just one more week left in the regular season, and then the playoffs are here. But before we get to the playoffs, we still got some teams to rank, and we still got some football to play.
Yeah, this week of football is going to be great. Now, we got a lot of games on Thursday because of Halloween.
It's really like a true week of football. We have a game on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So
I didn't even think about that.
We got 4 days of high school football with 4 days of good games coming up as well.
Yeah, and it's going to be some good matchups this week too, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and kind of start this week by looking at last week. Things kind of changed a little bit. We had Jamal Williams at our game of the week. You kind of got to experience the true high school football Friday night of running to different high schools. So how was your Friday night?
I really liked it. I got to go to Deep Run, which I've never gotten to see them play before. The atmosphere out there was cool. And I got to see, where else did I go? I'm blanking, but I got to see teams that I haven't gotten to see.
Glen Allen.
I have seen Glen Allen, but I haven't seen Trinity play yet. So I got to see a couple of the teams that I haven't gotten to see so far this season. So that was cool just to be at different kind of atmospheres. And I liked being in the studio. It was really fun kind of bouncing off each other and just kind of seeing all of the highlights from all of the different games. Because when I do Game of the Week, I'm so focused on that I don't really get to watch the whole show, and just seeing all the highlights and seeing how much talent we have here was really cool.
Yeah, you definitely get a better idea of everything that is going on. In our game of the week, it was Hermitage, Highland Springs that squared off because Jamal's not here to, kind of give us some commentary on this one. It was a back and forth game. We knew that Hermitage was really good. Their only loss of the year came to Varina. Highland Springs, they've had an incredible season. They managed to get a win. What happened at the end of the game was a Hail Mary last play of the game. The receiver caught the ball for the win, but he was out of bounds. They had an opportunity to try to kick a field goal to tie it. Said they go for the win, and they end up falling 31-28. And what was a great game, and Highland Springs just finds ways to win these games, and we'll get into what they have coming up this Friday night. But before we jump into any of that, how about we take the time to listen in on what Jamal's experience was like on Friday night at the Week 9 game of the week.
Well, folks, I said coming into the playoffs, every game matters, and this game right here surely didn't disappoint. Highland Springs and the Panthers gave us one for the ages. Let's take a look. To the highlights we go as both teams are looking for momentum going into the postseason. First quarter, Springer's quarterback Antoine Richardson throws a deep bomb to Damari Brooks. Springers are in the red zone. Then a few plays later, it's a handoff to running back Eric Boyd, who takes it in for the first score of the game. Panthers would convert on a 4th and 2 in the red zone. Then it's Avery Curtis who will finish up the rest into the end zone for a touchdown. We're all tied up, folks. A couple of possessions later, Hermitage with the ball in their territory. The give to Curtis, and he's gone all the way. Shakes off a few defenders and takes it to the house. Panthers up 14-7. We're taking it late to the fourth quarter. Springers up 24-21. Bird on the handoff, bobbles it, but it doesn't matter. He goes in for the touchdown, puts the Springers up 10 points now. Panthers would respond, though. Yane throws it to Tyson Brooks in the red zone. What a dart that was. A couple of plays later, Yane with the fake handoff, and he takes it himself and cuts the lead to 3. Later, it's the final play for the Panthers, 4th and long. Yane scrambling to the left, throws it, and it's caught out of bounds. Springers take over on downs and win this one 31-28. Head coach Lauren Johnson talks about that last play and playing in big games like this.
Don't let them run around, right? Don't let them scramble and knock the ball down. Don't play volleyball with it. Spike it to the ground. These games like this make your heart race a little bit, right? But it prepares you for what you're going to have down the stretch. So we're happy that we play games like this.
That does it here at Hermitage High School. Once again, the final score is the Springers 31 and the Panthers 28. For 8 Blitz, I'm Jamal Williams, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, huge win. Great game out at Hermitage. Always a great atmosphere out there. But it's Highland Springs that's able to sneak away with the victory. And as you saw, had a chance to win the game. Hermitage did. But Highland Springs gets a last-second stop. We've seen that from them again already this season. So a big win for the Springers, to say the least. Taking a look at just some of the other scores from the region. This is a score that kind of more so in the 7x7 region. 98-82 was a game at Jamestown.
Score.
Apparently it was. Wasn't really on my radar, to be honest with you, since we focus on Central Virginia. But some other big wins. Midlothian took down James River in a big one. Lunenburg remained undefeated with a 50-0 win. Caroline suffered their first loss of the year to Cortland, 28-21. Matoaka managed to get another win after starting the year 0-6. I think they've rattled off 3 straight wins now.
Okay.
Trinity got that big win at Glen Allen. You were at that game.
Yeah.
Thomas Dale keeps rolling. They got a shutout victory. And then Thomas Jefferson managed to take down Deep Run, and Freeman with the other big important win over Godwin. Freeman kind of on that cusp of trying to make the playoffs, so pretty important that they were able to snag a win out on Friday night. And I think the other score that worth mentioning, Louisa County remained undefeated with the win over Orange County, as did Manchester as they took down Powhatan on the road. And with that, it brings us to our Grade 8 rankings.
Yep.
Madeline, not much movement this week from
not a whole
our
lot,
teams.
A little bit. We've had weeks with less,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super late in the season at this point, so I feel like teams have pretty much solidified where they stand. But we'll start with number 1, which is the Dinwiddie Generals at 8-0. They have not moved. They stayed at number 1 from last week. They just moved up to number 1 last week, and they're staying at number 1 this week.
Yeah, little typo on my part. They're 9-0 following a 47-8 win over Meadowbrook. But you understand they haven't moved. That's why that number didn't get changed. They're at 9-0, and this week they'll take on Prince George for their final game of the season as they look to finish the year undefeated.
Yeah, and then we got number 2, the Manchester Lancers. They're at 8-0 as well. They moved up last week from number 3, taking over Benedictine's spot because of their performance last week.
Yeah, got the win. That's what matters at the end of the day, right? Our Grade 8 rankings don't matter in the grand scheme of things, but they got a 7-0 win over Woodbury Forest, a good Woodbury Forest team, might I add. But because they kind of struggled a little bit and Manchester has looked so dominant, I think the Lancers are deserving of moving up a spot. As for, I'm sorry. Have I gotten mixed up here?
Just a little. We're on the right track. I think you jumped a little bit to Benedictine.
Benedictine, yes.
We're explaining why we swapped them.
Exactly. So Manchester got that big 55-0 win. Benedictine, a 7-0 win over Woodbury. Just the dominance we saw on Friday from Manchester moves them up a spot, and Benedictine moved down a spot following their win is what really matters, is the fact that they won, but they did go down a spot.
Absolutely, yeah. So, yeah, both of those teams, they're just right there neck and neck. So, and like you said, our great eight rankings, it's fun to talk about, but in the grand scheme of things, they both won the games. All of these
teams are undefeated. And this upcoming Friday for Manchester, they'll take on Richmond High School for the Arts. Likely will win that game to move to 9-0. And then the big ones on Saturday, Benedictine takes on Trinity at 1 o'clock in what is a very highly anticipated matchup. Winner of that game, I think it's the 1 seed in the VISAA Division I playoffs. So that'll be a big game. Not only will it have playoff seeding on the line, but it's like the best rivalry in the city. So a lot of excitement about that one.
Lot at stake there. That brings us to number 4, which is the Verina Blue Devils. They moved up from the 5 spot last week. Now they're at number 4 at 6-2. They jumped Highland Springs. They kind of swapped as well.
Yeah, that's right. Verina dominated their matchup against Atlee 69-6. When Verina faced off against Hermitage in our game of the week a few weeks back, they looked dominant against Hermitage. You kind of compare the transition property of, high school football. Highland Springs struggled more so with Hermitage than Verina did. So we moved Verina up to 4, swapped them with Highland Springs. But the real story here is how good Verina has been this year. They're 6-2. Their 2 losses are to 2 of the best teams in the country. And then the big matchup, we're talking about these 2 teams. They face off on Thursday in what is going to be probably the most anticipated game in quite some time. Both of these teams have state championship aspirations. They're in 2 separate classes, so both teams could easily go on to win their state championships. And the fact that they square off on Thursday night on October 30th at Highland Springs. So much excitement about it.
Yeah, we have chosen that as our game of the week as well. I haven't gotten a chance to talk to either of the coaches yet, but these are just 2 juggernauts of our, kind of region here in Central Virginia. So very, very excited to see how those 2 kind of measure up against each other. Like we were talking about the Hermitage, both of them played Hermitage earlier. Highland Springs just played them last week. Varina played them, I think, 4 weeks ago, something like that. So that's why Highland Springs has been moved down. Varina's been moved up. But these teams are neck and neck. They both build their schedules, schedule these hard teams to prepare them for
and they both
games
won
like
big
this.
games and lost big ones as well. So the fact that they're squaring off, a lot of excitement. To pull the curtain back a little bit, I was talking with some other local reporters, and everyone asked, who you got on Friday, and or Thursday, we all knew what the other person was talking about because it really has transcended, just
big.
the sphere of Highland Springs High School over Varina. It's a huge game in the state for that matter. I'm sure they'll be talking about it in other regions of the state as well.
It's that big. But like I said, both of those teams neck and neck. So that brings us to number 6, which is the Louisa County Lions. They are still undefeated at 8-0. They got a big win over Orange County, and they were at number 8 last week. I don't think
they
so.
were at number 6. There's been some typos in this rankings, as I'm sure you guys have noticed, but trying to get it out to you in a timely manner, and that's just kind of what happened. Louisa County was at 6 last week. That has stayed the same. They're 8-0 to start the year. Last week took down Orange County 63-12.
Ooh.
Probably their hardest game of the season is this Friday against Western Albemarle as they look to finish the season undefeated. Likely will if they can beat Western Al this Friday, they're going to probably finish the season undefeated. It's been unreal what they've been able to do.
Yeah, we've been saying for weeks now that we don't think they're going to lose another game. I mean, they're so dominant. We talk about Savion Hyder every time. I mean, he's just incredible for them. Their offense is so high powered with him on their side. So, I mean,
what's crazy about the craziest thing is in that region, it's so talented. They'll finish the regular season undefeated. They might not host a playoff game because other teams are undefeated and they have higher quality wins than they do. And so there's a possibility they finish the year undefeated and they don't host a game.
That's insane.
So that's how crowded that Region 5C is.
That's insane. Like we were talking about before, we have a lot of talent around here.
Oh yeah.
But that brings us, speaking of talent, number 7, we got the Huguenot Falcons. They are 7-1. That loss again to St. Chris in week 1, and they've just grown every single week since then. And they are staying at spot number 7.
Yeah, a 79-0 win over Richmond High School for the Arts on Saturday. Got a little tougher task this week. They'll play a Wednesday game against James River. James River, pretty solid defense. This can be hard to keep up with the Falcons. That's probably their biggest worry right now. But a stronger opponent this upcoming Wednesday. And then the big one for Huguenot is that next week it's Huguenot Manchester for the district title. So that'll be interesting. A lot on the line, and they'll both be playoff teams. They'll both be secured in the playoffs. But the bragging rights is what really matters.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's just another one that's just going to be kind of one for the ages. I mean, just 2 so high-powered offenses facing off. I feel like that game is going to be like a basketball score.
It's going to be nuts, or it'll be the complete opposite, right?
Yeah, or
nobody
it'll be
can score on anybody because
they
all win by shutouts. Their defenses are really good too.
Yeah,
which is worth mentioning.
That's true. So I feel like it could either go 2 ways. Like you get like a super, super high score and you're like, oh my God, is that a basketball score? Or you get like a 14-7 type of win. But that brings us to number 8, which is the Armstrong Wildcats. They are still undefeated and they were at 8 last week and they're staying in the same spot.
Yeah, had a bye last week and they have a huge matchup on Thursday night against Hanover. The Hawks with Sam Rogers leading the way, just 1 loss on the year. Armstrong's undefeated. Obviously, Hanover's a Class 5 school. Armstrong moved down to Class 2, so they have their work cut out for them. Don't get us wrong, but the Armstrong Wildcats are off to an incredible start, and it'll be interesting to see if Jeremy Pruitt's team can take down a good Class 5 team.
Yeah. And then we got our honorable mentions. First of all, let me see if I can read Hanover.
They return. That's the only difference, or the change, I should say, from our honorable mention list. Caroline was undefeated. They were on it last week. They drop out. Hanover moves back up with just their one loss on the year, being to Verina, who we're saying could be the best team in Class 4. So we can't blame them out much for that loss. But the rest of the way, Hermitage has 2 losses on the year, one to the number 4 team, one to the number 5 team. St. Chris obviously beat the Huguenot Falcons. They only have 1 loss on the season. To that Woodbury Forest team that Benedictine struggled against. Trinity, their lone loss is to St. Chris. So our VISAA teams kind of just beating up on each other. And then Thomas Dale has just been stellar this season as well. Just 1 loss on the season for the Knights, that being to our number 1 team, the Dinwiddie Generals. So it's a packed rankings. And I mean, there's even some teams that aren't on this list I kind of wanted to give a shout out to. In Class 1, Essex is undefeated at this point of the season, 8-0. Lunenburg Central's undefeated at this point of the season at 8-0. Buckingham, I think, is 7-1. So there's been some teams that have really figured some things out. And a lot of time last year, I noticed that it was like there was so much parity, so many teams that were like 5-5, 4-6. But this year, there's been some teams that have stepped up.
It's a big gap.
Yeah,
it's a big gap. We got some super talented teams, and then there's just a big gap between some of the rest of them.
Yeah, kind of as Madeline was referring to earlier, it's a whole week of high school football. We have Huguenot taking on James River on Wednesday. Thursday, about 60% of the games in the region are taking place. Friday night football, as always, and then a couple of big games on Saturday as Benedictine and Trinity face off. So be sure to stay tuned in to the Blitz or just 8 News for that matter. We'll have the highlights on Thursday night. We'll have our full show on Friday night. And then the plan is to try to get out to Trinity for the big matchup between Benedictine and Trinity on Saturday as well. So be sure to tune in to 8 News for your high school football coverage. We've been having so much fun bringing it to you. Week 10 is this week, just one more week left in the regular season, and then it's time for the playoffs. But for now, that's going to wrap things up here for our Grade 8 rankings. We'll finish things off the same way we always do with the Week 9 top lights. Good night, everybody.